Okay, Adidas 3MCs. Probably the greatest shoe for parkour, and I really mean that because I've bought this shoe twice, which I haven't done with any other shoe. This was my first pair. I'm still wearing it. I just wanted to buy another because I think the shoe is great for pretty much anyone that wants to do parkour, beginners, advanced. The shoe is awesome. I really don't have any cons about the shoe. I do have like a small, maybe like a half a con I'll talk about in this video, but overall the shoe is great. You could even click off the video now if you want, because there's not much to say about the shoe. It's great in every way, but I'm gonna go over every part of the shoe, starting with the grip. So this is kind of how it looks like after wearing it for like, I don't know, a couple months, maybe 4 or 5 months. I don't train that often, so 4 or 5 months, someone else could be a lot more wear and tear, but this is how it looks like when it's brand new. And you can kind of see in the toe area, the new shoe has a lot more indentation in the hexagons, and right out of the box, I wore this shoe yesterday. It's still pretty grippy with that less surface area, but just know that the more you wear your shoe, the more those tread marks will go away. I don't even know if you call them tread marks, whatever the name is. The shoe becomes more flat over time, especially in the toe area, and it becomes more grippy. So that's a cool thing to know. Other than that, there's not much else to talk about the grip. It's pretty standard when it comes to cement and brick, because cement and brick are already pretty harsh materials. I feel like most shoes stick to cement and brick pretty well, but it is amazing on poles, so metal surfaces, and also wood. So if you're inside a gym, it does pretty well. That's as far as the grip goes. The side is also the same material, I think, and I don't think many people utilize that part of the shoe, but I did see Bob Reese and a couple people doing like this weird toe move thing, and I don't know, maybe you don't want a really grippy side for whatever reason. If you want to do that move or things like that, just know that it is pretty grippy all around. If anything, I think it helps if you're in an awkward scenario where you're like climbing something, you need to fit your toe into something. That side is also pretty grippy, so that's one thing to know. Okay, let's talk about the flexibility of this shoe. I think it's pretty good, pretty standard, what you want in a parkour shoe. It's not incredibly flexible, especially in the heel area, but I do think that's a pro, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the toe area and everywhere else, it's pretty flexible as far as flexibility goes. When you're doing rail precisions, it does wrap around the rail pretty nicely. You can press into the shoe, and I think that's a pretty good plus, so you can really feel what's under you. Okay, let's talk about the cushioning. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably don't have a pair of these, but for the people that do, they know Adidas 3MCs are pretty thin when it comes to cushioning, but the quality of the cushioning is pretty good, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I have my Sperry's here to explain how different the cushioning is, because both these shoes are pretty similar when it comes to shape and the cushioning size. I think the thickness is pretty similar. In fact, I think the Sperry's are a little bit more thicker, but I want to explain a concept here which might be a little tricky, but I'll probably put up a video while I explain this. So when you're walking in any of these shoes, you walk in the same way, and usually your heel hits the ground first, and both in the Sperry's and in the Adidas, the shoe makes contact with the ground first, but in the Sperry's, when the shoe makes contact, because the bottom is flexible, oh, I just dropped a ton of sand. So in the Sperry's, when you make contact with the ground, because it's so flexible, shoe makes contact with ground, then heel also makes contact with the ground like right after. And that's not a thing that exists with the Adidas. With the Adidas, shoe makes contact with the ground and then it just transfers right to the toe because the heel is not flexible. So I think that's like a really small thing no one really notices, but it's super important, especially if you're running or I don't know, doing anything. The shoe is a lot more forgiving than people usually think it is, because while the cushioning is really thin, that really rigid heel just adds to the comfortability of the whole shoe, so I think it's nice. Same thing with the arches. It's a pretty rigid arch. In fact, this whole rubber part is pretty strong and it doesn't flex as much, so it could be bad on paper, but like when you're actually walking around in it, it just feels nice because the cushioning is thin, but because everything else is super like hard and padded, it feels like it's a little thicker. It's like if you took the Vans Ultra Ranges and you just compressed all that cushioning down into like a very thick layer. This is kind of how it feels. So personally, I like it because the responsitivity of the shoe is nice, because on the Vans Ultra Ranges, or with any shoe that has a lot of cushioning where you can actually press onto the cushioning, I know it's like a very small, subtle thing, but the shoe makes contact with the ground first and then feet actually touch the ground, and it's probably like nanoseconds of time, but it's just that feeling of feeling the ground instantly right as you touch the ground, because it's so dense. You can feel everything through the shoe on this Adidas pair, but with most shoes that have cushioning, you can't do that. So I really love the cushioning on this shoe. It's just a nice straight to the point type of cushioning, no fluff. It's just there, and I love it. Also, the cushioning is pretty even throughout the whole shoe. There's no drastic drop. There is a small gradual decrease in the cushioning all the way till the toe, but it doesn't disappear, which I see in a lot of running shoes where they kind of stop a little too early. It's probably not intentional, but I often find in running shoes the toe box is a little under cushioned and it just stops early, but on this shoe, because the top and the surrounding areas are all rubber, you kind of get a full cushioned toe, heel, and arch in whatever awkward landing you're gonna land in. So it's nice to have that, and I love it for that reason. Okay, so that's cushioning. I think the shape of the shoe is also really nice. It's not too thick, not too thin. It maps right under your foot, so you're feeling basically everything you would if you were barefoot. There's nothing extra sticking out, and it's also not thin like I see a lot of Puma shoes doing that. So I really love the shape. Also, it contours to your foot really well, so it feels like a sock, and it just makes it a lot more, I guess, precise in your landings and in your movement. You're not like aiming at anything weirdly. Everything's just right underfoot, and it's kind of like wearing a sock almost. So I really love it for that reason. Okay, let's talk about the upper. It's all canvas. There's a small leather part over here. I think there's an option to get this in suede, so that's a thing if you want that. I think it is a little heavier probably, but there's probably not a lot of performance things going on the top part. It's all pretty standard, pretty similar to a lot of skate shoes. You see like this really light material used up here, and I think it's fine. I think there's nothing that sticks out too much for the top part of the shoe. There are 6 of these eyelets if you're curious for your shoelaces, and there's also these 3 little holes down here, which is probably for design. Overall, pretty basic top. I really love it though. Goes well with any outfit, so style is a 10 for me. I just love the basic minimal look. So for that reason, the shoe is just a great beginner shoe. I think it's awesome in every way. Probably would buy another pair. Okay, I think that's probably it. If you think I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Other than that, shoe's amazing. I really don't have any other gripes about the shoe. Oh, the one like minor con that I had about the shoe. It's not a huge deal, but just want to let you know that in shoes with very sharp edges, there's kind of only 2 orientations the shoe can really be in. It's either flat or completely on its side. There's not a lot of wiggle room in the middle, especially when you buy it brand new because it's super sharp. Over time it does wear out a little bit, and it's like easier to be in these awkward positions, but I just want to point that out, that it's a little awkward to be in like this or this position, but I don't find myself in that position often. So I think that's it. I think the shoe's great. Shoe's awesome. Okay, I think that's it. Alright, I think we're